You're overreacting, Melissa said, brushing her long dark hair behind one ear, without looking up from her wine glass. Noah stood frozen by the kitchen table, fingers trembling, the blueprints in his hand now crumpled and stained with sweat. Overreacting? You gave him my idea, Mel. The design, the prototype. You gave it to Evan. She finally looked at him, her eyes cold and unmoved. He had the resources. You had dreams. I made a choice. Noah's chest tightened. We were building it together for years. In my garage, every night while you slept, I worked on that energy circuit. That was mine. Melissa was. She set her wine down. Now it's on track to be a multi-million-dollar patent, and you still clocking in at that warehouse for $12 an hour. Noah's vision blurred. Not just from the betrayal, but from the unbelievable audacity. Melissa wasn't just his girlfriend of 5 years, she had been his partner, his cheerleader, his everything. And Evan was supposed to be Noah's best friend. Former roommate, the guy who borrowed money for his truck and never paid it back. The guy Noah once bailed out after a bar fight. Now he was the CEO of Volterra Tech, a new energy startup, being hailed as the future of eco-power. Using Noah's design. That night, Noah didn't sleep. He walked out of the apartment with just his duffel bag and laptop, ignoring Melissa's parting shot, "You'll thank me someday." He wouldn't. 3 years passed. Noah didn't disappear. He built in silence, in anger, in shadows. He worked graveyard shifts and coded by day. He studied legal frameworks, tech patents, business law. He sold his car to afford one consultation with a ruthless startup attorney. Then he bought a secondhand suit and met with a venture capitalist who believed in bitter revenge almost as much as Noah did. He created a better version of his design. Cleaner, cheaper, smarter. This time, fully patented. Under a new name, Novacell. In secret, Novacell began making waves overseas. A quiet company. No splashy ads. No flashy interviews. Just deals. Then came the tipping point. A national green energy grant. $10 million on the table. 2 companies qualified, Volterra Tech and Novacell. Noah watched the live pitch daystream from the back of the government building, arms folded, sunglasses on. Evan walked on stage in a custom-tailored suit, flashing his signature smug grin. Melissa was in the front row now, his wife filming proudly. He began the pitch, boasting about his revolutionary energy module. Diagrams, projections, buzzwords. The panel looked impressed. Then the moderator cleared his throat, now presenting the technologies, a surprise applicant with full patent documentation and third-party testing. The crowd murmured. Evan blinked. Then Noah stepped onto the stage. He watched Melissa's face collapse. The room was silent as Noah adjusted the microphone. 3 years ago, he began, voice calm but sharp. A man I trusted stole the foundation of this design. He rebranded it. He erased the real inventor. He married the woman who helped him do it. And they both left me with nothing but a garage full of ash and blueprints covered in betrayal. All eyes turned toward Evan. Melissa looked like she'd seen a ghost. I didn't come here for pity, Noah continued, flipping open the sleek folder in front of him. I came with proof and purpose. He displayed a time-stamped email chain between himself and Melissa from 4 years ago discussing the original schematic. Metadata from early prototype files dated over a year before Volterra Tech was even registered witness statements, including one from Evan's old business professor, who had advised Noah personally on the circuitry model. A gasp spread across the room. One of the grant judges leaned forward. Are you accusing Volterra of intellectual theft? No. Noah's voice was steady. I'm proving it. The moderator called for a 10-minute recess. Lawyers from both companies gathered in heated knots. Evan was pale. Melissa whispered urgently in his ear, her cool exterior cracking. Noah stood off to the side, watching it all with quiet fire. His hands no longer shook. For once, he held the power. A week later, the government board made its decision. Volterra Tech's application was voided pending legal investigation. Novacell won the full $10 million grant. The headline trended for 3 days. Unknown startup destroys Volterra with explosive patent reveal. Noah didn't comment. He didn't need to, but Evan's phone number lit up his inbox with desperate messages. Melissa texted too. Evan, we were a team once. Maybe we can work something out. Melissa, you've made your point. Now stop, please. Noah didn't reply. He'd already deleted their numbers and their noise. He had better things to focus on, like the 7-country licensing deal waiting in his inbox. But there was one more thing he needed to do. A week later, he showed up at Volterra's headquarters, not with lawyers but with a check. He'd bought 51% of the company's debt through silent channels. Volterra Tech was now his. Security let him in. Evan was sitting in his office, sweating through his shirt. What are you doing here? Evan snapped. Noah dropped the paperwork on his desk. You work for me now, he said. Or don't. The board's voting to dissolve next quarter anyway. Melissa stepped into the room behind Evan. You're going too far. Noah turned. Slowly, you once told me I'd thank you someday. He smiled, sharp and hollow. "Thanks, Mel. You taught me how to lose everything, and now I know how to take it all back." He walked out, the sound of Evan's shouting echoing behind him. Noah thought taking over Volterra would feel satisfying, but the moment Evan screamed across the conference room as the board voted to dissolve the company, all Noah felt was silence. A hollow kind. 1 week later, the media frenzy peaked. CEO ousted after Invention theft, scandal. Novus founder declares revenge is best served. Corporate. Melissa Hart's shares seized in court injunction. Noah was offered dozens of interviews. He declined them all. He wasn't in this for attention. He wanted one thing: redemption. In court, Noah's case gained momentum. The forensic tech expert he hired had uncovered altered timestamps, hidden metadata in Melissa's personal laptop backups, and matching design elements across the stolen Volterra files. It was irrefutable. Melissa's lawyer tried to settle out of court. She even sent a letter. "I made a mistake. We both did. I still remember the man you were before all of this. I'm sorry." Noah folded it once and slid it into the fireplace. Too late. Weeks later, Evan stood trial for intellectual property theft, wire fraud, and falsifying patents. Melissa faced a civil suit for collusion and misappropriation of trade secrets. They were both banned from serving as directors in any tech firm for the next 10 years. But Noah, he signed a partnership deal with Samsung. He flew to Seoul to finalize the launch of Novacell across Asia. And as his plane took off, he looked out at the clouds, remembering the night he'd slept in his car outside a job fair, dreaming of what his invention could be. Full circle, he whispered. The revenge wasn't the victory. The rebuild was. The headlines faded, but the legacy stayed. The tech world changed. Novacell became the industry standard, used in everything from phones to electric vehicles. Every device carried a fingerprint of Noah's original idea. He didn't just bounce back. He rewrote the game. Noah now lived in a quiet suburb outside Austin, Texas. His house had no trace of bitterness. The walls were lined with books, not plaques. There were no trophies, just peace. And yet, every few months, the past would try to claw its way back in. It started with an email from an unknown address. "Can we talk? I've changed, please." Melissa. Noah didn't reply. Then came a LinkedIn request from Craig Halper, Evan's former business partner. Deleted. Then came the letter, an actual physical letter. No return address. Handwritten, sloppy. "Noah, I know I messed up. Everything fell apart after you left. Melissa and I split. The company went bankrupt. My name's ruined. I can't even get work at a hardware store without someone Googling me. I just want to know if you ever think about how things used to be. I was your best friend once." Man, doesn't that mean something? It arrived on Noah's birthday. He sat there staring at it, letting the silence answer for him. Then he placed the letter back in its envelope and burned it in the fire pit out back, just like the first one. Evan's memory didn't get to live here anymore, but karma had a longer memory. 2 months later, Noah received an envelope from a law firm in Los Angeles. Inside was a formal request for character testimony. Evan had been arrested again, this time for using someone else's expired patent to launch a failed crypto hardware startup. His bail was denied. His lawyer was fishing for anyone from his past to say anything redeemable. Noah laughed. He tossed the letter into the trash. Let the man drown in his own choices. Melissa, on the other hand, resurfaced in New York. A TikTok clip went viral, drunkenly yelling at a bartender about her billionaire ex who screwed her out of a future. The comments were brutal. "Didn't you marry the guy who stole his invention? Karma came with receipts. Sounds like you were the user." Noah didn't smile watching it. He didn't gloat. He just felt finished. He didn't need the world to hate her. He didn't even hate her himself anymore. He simply didn't care. One quiet morning, Noah stood in his kitchen sipping coffee, watching sunlight drip through the windows. His dog, Baxter, a rescued golden retriever, snored on the rug nearby. He opened his inbox and saw a message from a major university. "We'd like to honor you with an award for innovation." The same award Evan once claimed. "We've removed his name from the alumni hall." Noah smiled gently. "Not bad," he said aloud. He clicked accept, but he wasn't doing it for pride. He'd accepted that the world would never fully erase the past, so instead, he outgrew it. He walked outside, barefoot on the dewy grass, breathing in air that no longer carried bitterness. For the first time in years, he was no longer building something to prove a point. He was just building. 10 years after Evan betrayed him. 8 years since Melissa walked out. 5 years since Noah reclaimed everything. And yet, Noah still woke up sometimes with that old weight pressing on his chest, like the past. Refused to fully let go. Until the letter came. A thick cream envelope, gold embossed, inside an invitation. To Noah S. Reyes, you are cordially invited to the National Inventors Hall of Fame Gala. You have been unanimously selected as this year's Legacy Award recipient. Your contributions to green cell technology have changed the world. Noah sat at his desk, holding the letter, fingers trembling. For years, he avoided accolades. For years, he stayed quiet, but this time felt different. The night of the gala, Noah wore a charcoal gray suit, simple and classic. His once scruffy hair had silvered at the temples. The crowd rose to a standing ovation when his name was announced. He walked to the stage slowly, soaking in the sound. The applause wasn't for vengeance, it was for resilience in his acceptance speech. Noah looked out over the crowd of scientists, founders, and dreamers. 10 years ago, I was broke, alone, and sleeping in the front seat of my truck. All I had was an idea, and the belief that someone would listen. That belief was stolen, but what no one could take from me was the will to rebuild. I've come to learn success isn't about never being betrayed, it's about what you build after the betrayal. The crowd erupted, a standing ovation. Again, after the event. As Noah stepped outside to escape the flash of cameras, a familiar voice cut through the night air. "You still hate me?" He turned. Melissa stood there, older, worn, dressed in department store black. Her eyes searched his face like she wanted him to say something kind. Noah tilted his head. "No," he said, "but I don't remember you anymore. I think about you all the time." "That's your problem," he replied. She flinched. A pause. Then, "Is it too late to apologize?" Noah took a deep breath and looked at the stars above the gala tent. It's not too late to forgive, but it's too late to matter. He walked away. That night, back home, Noah stood in his workshop, the same tiny garage where Novacell was born. He pulled out a worn notebook. On the first page, he scribbled a new heading, Genesis, Project 2. Because this time, he wasn't building to prove anything. He was building, just because he could. 3 months after the gala, Noah was approached by Seraftech, a European tech giant. "We want to license Novacell across 3 continents. Your work, it's the future of clean energy." It would be the biggest deal of his life, bigger than any of Evan's fake partnerships. But this time, Noah made one thing clear. "I don't just want royalties," he told the CEO. "I want a seat at the table. Board position, voting power, control." They agreed. For the first time in his life, Noah wasn't the one knocking at doors, he was the door. As he settled into his new role, something unexpected arrived in the mail, a cease and desist letter. From Evan's lawyer, "Your use of the name Novacell infringes upon previously claimed trademarks. Failure to cease operations will result in federal legal action." Noah stared at the paper, stunned on, then he laughed. "The man who stole my company is suing me for stealing it back." Noah didn't panic. He didn't call Frank, his lawyer. Not yet. Instead, he opened his safe. Inside were 2 things. The original notebook, the one Evan had stolen years ago. A small black USB drive labeled fails tape. He plugged in the USB and opened the folder. Dozens of files, each one encrypted. Each one dated from the first month Evan had gone rogue. He had copied every email Evan had sent to their early investors. Using Noah's name, he had voice recordings, screenshots, proof that Evan's takeover wasn't just betrayal, it was identity theft. Noah picked up his phone and dialed. "Frank, yeah, it's time." Filed the countersuit. "I want his patents, his house, his name." Meanwhile, Evan sat in his penthouse in Miami, unaware that the last domino had been pushed. He was on a call with Melissa. "He's bluffing," Evan said confidently. "Noah's always been too soft to play dirty." "That man's not soft anymore," Melissa replied. "And we both made him that way." There was silence. For the first time, Evan didn't have a comeback. 2 weeks later, Evan was served in front of a packed auditorium during one of his crypto energy vision talks. He smiled awkwardly, brushing off the papers. But when he read them backstage, his hands shook. Noah wasn't just suing him for fraud. He was suing him for identity theft, breach of fiduciary duty, and intellectual property piracy, with federal criminal charges pending. "He has the notebooks," Evan muttered. "He kept the backups." Melissa's voice echoed in his head. "That man's not soft anymore." The court date was set. People versus Evan Marks. The trial drew headlines. Tech founder sued by former partner over stolen IP. Whistleblower exposes billion-dollar betrayal, the Novacell war. Who really built the future? Day after day, Evan sat behind the defendant's table, squirming as Noah's evidence painted him as a leech in a suit. When Melissa was called to testify, her voice wavered. "Yes, I knew about this stolen idea. I helped Evan build around it. I even coached him on how to talk like Noah in pitch meetings." Her confession hit like a hammer. In that moment, she stopped being a victim. She became a co-conspirator. The judge didn't hesitate. This court finds Evan Marks guilty of civil fraud, breach of trust, and unlawful conversion of intellectual property. Full restitution is ordered, including transfer of all Novacell holdings and assets to Mr. Noah Reyes. Furthermore, the defendant is hereby barred from using the Novacell name in any commercial capacity. The room fell silent. Noah stood up, slowly, his voice calm, but devastating. "You took my wife. You took my name. You even took my identity. But the one thing you couldn't take was this." He held up the notebook. This is mine. And now, so is everything else. Evan's empire collapsed overnight. His homes were seized. His stock plummeted. He was left with nothing but the ashes of someone else's legacy. Melissa tried to reach out again weeks later, this time with regret. Noah didn't reply. Months passed. Noah rebuilt Novacell from the inside out. He rehired the engineers Evan had fired. He created a scholarship in his grandfather's name. He started the Reyes Foundation, funding young inventors with big dreams and empty wallets. One night, during a press tour, a young girl approached him after a speech. Asterisk, Mr. Reyes. My name's Ariana. My science teacher told me you used to live in your car, is that true? Noah smiled. Yeah, I did. So how'd you go from the car to the stage? He knelt down to her level and handed her a card. You built, even when people steal, even when it hurts, even when no one claps. You just keep building. Until they can't ignore you anymore. That night, Noah stood alone in his old workshop, now restored. On the wall hung his legacy award. Below it, the framed original patent, his name now etched in bold, not stolen, not shared. His dot he whispered into the quiet. The last patent I'll ever file is for peace. And for the first time in a decade, he finally meant it.